Okay, welcome everyone. Thanks for coming. This is the online elementary statistics um, orientation webinar. So, let you know, my name is Larry, and I'm going to be your instructor. I'll talk about myself in a little bit more, but this is a webinar to talk about what to expect in the class. We're actually not doing any statistics today because that's what the other webinar is going to be about. This is just about what you're going to have to do in the class, how to succeed, how to work with each other, how to communicate with me and each other, the different things, that are going to be assigned in the class, what the assignments are going to look like, all that kind of stuff. And I will also let you know I'll be looking at the chat box. I always have one eye in the chat box and one eye on what we're talking about. So I will be, watching that. So if you have any questions, pop them in the chat box and I'll definitely do my best to answer. So I'll let you know my name is Larry. There's a few kind of weird things. I have been teaching longer than any full-time instructor of any subject in the entire college. So I've been here forever. So this is my 30th year at Lake Tahoe Community College. And I love it. I have no regrets. So it is great. And I have not been teaching online statistics for all 30 years. Any guess on why?
Uh, 60?
Because 30 years ago, online didn't really exist.
Okay, I'd
It
say
was the
like 52. How about that?
30 years ago was 96.
96.
1996, and no one even, I mean, I knew what the
That's
internet was, but
30,
other people
30
didn't.
something.
30 years,
30,
yeah.
30.
30 years. So I've been teaching 30 years, and it was before people even knew about the internet. Is like a new thing. And before I got here, I actually had a company that I was part owner in called uh, Net Dreams, and we did stuff with that. It was kind of fun. So anyway, so I've been doing this forever, and I've been teaching online though since I was the first in California to teach statistics online of any instructor in any college. So I was the beginner. So I've been doing this forever. And I don't only teach online, I teach face to face also. But this class is online, just to let you know. So that's my kind of, my background here at Lake Tahoe Community College. My degrees, I got my PhD at UCLA and my undergrad, my bachelor's, and all in math, by the way, in UC San Diego. So I have lived down there, but I love the mountains. It's beautiful up here. I will let you know that I don't know about all of you, but I'm in Tahoe, and Lake Tahoe, you probably know, is a big ski resort. And what we often get in winters is a lot of snow. And sometimes that snow takes out our power and internet. And if that happens, then of course I can't be online with you guys. So let's hope that's cross our fingers that we won't have to cancel any webinars because of no internet. But you won't get mad at me because hopefully you won't get mad at me because I have no internet and no electricity in Tahoe, and that happens sometimes. We sometimes get a lot of snow. Sometimes you don't get much, but you never know. Usually we're pretty good. I try and always have my webinars. I'm at the college right now because the college has much better internet ability than my house actually. So I try to do it at the college, whenever I can. And in fact, I'm going home in a way that probably none of you do for commuting. I have the best vehicle there is to get home in when it's snowy. Any guessing what that is?
A bus, a shuttle.
My
Oh, you're skiing?
I I ski to work. I live in a different place in LA. Yeah, it's wonderful. I do wear a headlamp because it's dark. Um, so that I'm in Tahoe. I've been here forever. I've been teaching stats for a very, very long time, and I'll be talking about it now. So what I want to do is I want to go over the syllabus, and I'll go over the details of the assignments, a little after. I want to go through the general parts of the syllabus first, and then we'll show you what assignments look like. So, so this is the interesting thing is if you've been at the colleges for more than if you were here if you were at any college last year, the number was not Stat C 1000, but now we've changed this to Stat C 1000 because every community college in California uses the same number now to make it easy to understand. So this is Stat C 1000, and this is section 3, and the course is called Introduction to Statistics. And just to let you know, it is an introduction. We're not going to do any fancy mathematics. There's a whole lot of advanced math, like heavy, heavy calculus, that we don't touch. So you don't have to know any fancy mathematics. You do have to know basic arithmetic. That's a good thing. You definitely have to know how to use a calculator because that's a major thing. And I'll explain the calculator too and what calculator you want to use. Okay, so again, this is a 5-unit class. And what that typically means is called the Carnegie system from Carnegie Mellon University. It's a Carnegie system, and that is that for every unit, there's supposed to be 3 hours of work. So you can expect around 15 hours a week for each week. And we're on the quarter systems. I know some of you are not necessarily Lake Tahoe Community College full-time students. Some of you are from other places. And if you're from a semester system, I want to let you know this is a quarter system class, and we're a 12-week quarter. So in fact, put in the chat box, again, this is not public except for each other, but it won't be on YouTube. Put in the chat box where you're from. Are you from Tahoe? Or are you from some other college or some, place? I actually had one class online. I had 5 different countries represented. 5 people from 5 different countries in my class. It was pretty amazing. Okay. Sonoma County. I taught at Sonoma State University, 1994 to 1996. So some people in Tahoe, Santa Rosa, again, not far from Sonoma State. Okay, San Francisco, and you're slow. Cal Poly slow. San Francisco. Yeah, Bay Area seems to be common actually for some reason. Okay. Um, and Allen Hancock College. Great, great. Okay. San Jose Bay Area. Yep, that's typical. Okay. But again, you can come from anywhere. It's fine. The one thing you have to have is internet access. Okay. You cannot take this class if you're not going to have internet access because this is an online class, which means pretty much just about everything you do will be using the internet. So that's a big let you know about it. So that is really important. If you happen to be in Tahoe, we actually give out free computers to anybody, any student. And you have to return them at the end of the class. So like in end of March, you have to give it back. But if you need a computer, you can get one. If you wait too long, they may all get rented and given out. It's all free, by the way. Okay, so that's just a note. My office phone number is 541-4660, extension 341. Typically email is the best way to get a hold of me though, because I'm on email a lot and I'm not at my office all the time. Okay, when I'm at home, I'm at email, but when I'm at home, I'm not near my office phone. But if you want to call me, you can try. But email is definitely the best way of communicating for personal stuff. And I'll talk about for not personal, it's just questions about statistics. That's a whole different thing. And we'll get there in a minute. Okay. And I'll respond within a day. Okay. During the week. Okay. And during the weekend, there could be an extra day. Usually I'll respond right away, but once in a while it'll take longer. If I don't respond within a day, what that really means is that we're out of electricity and we have no internet in Tahoe and we're snowbound. And that happens sometimes. We could be a couple days without any power, and then I can't respond. Hopefully you understand that. Um, so that's kind of what I am. I tend to look at my email probably more than is healthy. I will let you know also, I am a morning person. So if you send me any kind of message after 9 o'clock p.m., you're going to have to wait until 5 in the morning, probably. Okay. Because I do wake up early, but I go to sleep. So don't expect any answers at night because I'm asleep. I am human. Yeah, we all sleep. So I tend to sleep around then. So that's just a note in terms of my time. Also, I also teach face to face. teaching calculus and linear algebra this quarter. So eight Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 to 10 basically. I'm teaching. And then also Monday, Wednesday, Friday from around 12 to 2, I'm also teaching. So or 12 to 1:45 or so. So those are the times that I'm also not available because I'm teaching. And teaching is teaching. Okay. And doesn't mean that every other minute I'm around, available because I'm a human and I do fun stuff too. Okay, but I do check every day, as long as we have internet. I have a few things. One thing, this is my, I tend to use my personal email, drlarrygreen@gmail.com. If you send me my college email, which is, it's either Green LL Green, that'll work too. But I have it forwarded to my personal email. That's easier. So if you need to email me, then that's it. And this is all on Canvas, so you have this information. Um, the Canvas webpage, this may not work. I probably need to get rid of this because someone told me they just changed it. Let me edit this while we're there. So I'm gonna get rid of this. Let's go to link options. And maybe I'll find what it is. But again, you know how to get into Canvas, or you went to middle, looked at class, and I did look, and just about everyone was able to get in. Okay. Oh, it didn't work. Oh well. Let's try this. Ah, oh, it's in. Okay, it is working. I don't know why. Okay. Um, so I have student hours, and they used to be called office hours. Now we call them student hours. It's just a different word. And I always am in my office, but I'm also always online. And I have one Zoom account, and I use that Zoom account for my all the webinars and for my student hours. So it's always the same link, and I will be on. Okay, and I'll show you the hours in a little bit. Um, right now, there's no link to the archive webinars. Anyone know why there's no link to the archive webinars? There's a good, big, obvious reason.
Because there's none yet?
Yeah, there's none yet. This is our first webinar. There's nothing archived yet. We're in the middle of one, and not even in the middle. We're towards the beginning of one. We haven't had an archive webinar yet. So as soon as this one's over, then what happens is usually takes about 20 minutes or so for Zoom to do you know, the making it happen. Then I get the file, then I take the file and I post it on YouTube. That takes another half an hour, and then it gets put on. So usually an hour or so after the webinar, it'll get put on, and then I'll make a playlist for these archive webinars. Okay, right now there's no playlist because you're not allowed to make a YouTube playlist without anything to play. You can't have a playlist that's empty. So as soon as I have one, then that'll be a link, and I'll make it happen. Okay. So I've been teaching this a while, and what I've done is I've made lectures also for each chapter. These are different than the webinars. These are lectures. Unlike the webinars, these are very fine-tuned, but there's nothing like today's news recent kind of stuff. And if I click on that, then this will go to YouTube, and you'll see that there's webinars. There's 13 of them. Any guess on why there's 13? There's a reason. Any guess? It's not
13
a
weeks.
no, we're a 12-week quarter.
Oh,
Yeah, 13 chapters. There's 13 chapters in the book. So I made a webinar a webinar, not a webinar, a lecture for every chapter. And by the way, all these are very fine-tuned and perfectly closed captioned. So everything is like, it should be perfect. I mean, I may have spelling errors because I'm not perfect, but it's pretty good. Okay. But they were done, I think a couple years ago. I modified them and made them, redid them. But so there's nothing new about them. Whereas these webinars that we're going to have tomorrow, especially, they're going to have new stuff. Okay. And when I say new, it means about what's going on in the world, new. So statistics that's really relevant. Okay. In case you're interested, I have a lot of different things. I have lectures from Eve classes. That's when I had to teach this, not face to face when it was a face to face class. You can probably all guess when that happened. Right? That was 2020 and 2021. That was COVID time. Yeah. So those are much longer because that was the full length, what we used to do. So I have those two. Most people don't watch that, but in case I have them, in case you want them. I also have short introductory videos for every week. Those are pretty old, but they're just little, short things. Then I have videos of worked out problems. And those are, unlike the chapter videos, those are much shorter. So if you go to these guys, you'll notice that's going to pop on YouTube also. Those are like 4 minutes. Here's one, 2 minutes and 46 seconds, 3 minutes and 7 seconds. These are short. These are examples of solving problems, statistics problems. And they're linked. The homework you'll see will have these linked immediately. So you can get help on that. Okay. All right. So there was a question. I'll talk about if you miss live webinars in a little bit. Hopefully you'll still be there. I see a question that's a direct question, and I'll get to that, I promise. And the answer isn't. The answer is not what not what you think is true. But if you look at it, you'll see. Okay. And in fact, I'll even show you something kind of fun. Then there is interactive statistics. This is just off, and these are a whole bunch of interactive stuff like gamification of the class, that kind of stuff of statistics, some kind of visualizations, all kinds of stuff that does it that I put in. I'm a programmer, by the way, also. And so I coded everything. Okay. And then there's also embedded AI in the textbook. So if you have a question about the book, then this is a way to look at it. Most people won't use this use what's called Math GPT. You probably heard of Chat GPT. There's something called Math GPT. And then there's also, I have a chat bot for the syllabus. Okay. So for example, I'm going to do the following. I'm going to click on that chat bot. And I'm going to hit start. And it says, are you ready to get started? Yes, I'm ready to get started. Okay. I'm ready to help. Let's see what the question is. So I'm going to put a question that I saw in the box. I read that if we missed the live webinar, we had to do 5 pages of notes. Does this apply for all webinars? Okay, so here's an answer to that question. You put in the chat box and hit it. And it takes a moment. We're in a new world. This is AI. Okay. There's no specific mention of a requirement to complete 5 pages of notes if you miss a live webinar. The syllabus does explain the webinar attendance policy, which states any student who does not participate or view in more than 4 of these webinars will be either dropped from the course or will give an F in the course. Okay, a 5% penalty will give them for each webinar not viewed. It also mentions that the only way to make up a missed webinar that isn't watched by Sunday is to watch it later and write 5 pages of notes. Okay? All right. And then at the bottom, there is no specific requirement for 5 pages of notes just for missing a live session, as long as you watch the recording by Sunday and submit the secret word, you should be fulfilling the attendance requirement. Does that make sense? Okay. This is a chatbot answering. Okay. I don't pretend there isn't AI around anymore. Okay. So the answer is from the chatbot, which is true, by the way, because it just finds things in the syllabus, is that as long as you watch it by Sunday and you do your secret word quiz, then you're good. You don't have to do the 5 pages of notes. If you miss it by that Sunday, this coming Sunday, for example, for this one and the next one, then you're going to do the 5 pages of notes. Okay. The secret word I'll show you in a little, well, let me do it. how. Let me just easier to copy and paste. Okay, I'm not one of those that thinks AI is terrible for everything. It's good for some things, it's bad for other things. I'll talk about what you shouldn't use it for. Okay, so how do you submit the secret word? Based on the syllabus, the process of submitting the secret word for the website is explained in the live webinar section, which we'll get to in a little bit. Okay, in order to get credit for attending the viewing webinar, you must submit the secret word that will be given out during the webinar, okay, by the end of the week. And it's submitted through the week, whatever, secret word quiz. So there'll be a quiz called the secret word quiz, week 1 or week 2 or week whatever. Okay. And then you can read through. So one of the cool things about this chatbot is it'll answer any question. Isn't it amazing? This is literally AI. Okay. And AI does it. Okay. There's some things you should never use AI for, and that is for just doing your work. Don't do that. And I will zap you for it. And I can tell, by the way, because as you can see, I do AI, but I do AI for important things, not for just not learning and doing it instead. That won't work. Okay. Any more questions before we continue on? Okay, so for the textbook. All right, one thing to let you know, there's something that I'm a major player in, and I've never heard any student say it's awful. When I was a student in college, I was poor. I was one of those really poor students, and I could not afford, hundreds of dollars to buy a book. It was so hard for me. So I will never ever fail a student because I can't afford the materials or the book. So what I have done is I've made sure that everything is free. Okay. You may have to pay for electricity for your internet or, but pretty much everything is free. So there's no cost for the book. And in fact, this was a long time ago. It was like 15 or 16, maybe 18 years, 17 years ago. I actually wrote a bill and went to our state Congress and spoke in front of our Congress to get them to support this free textbook initiative. And I got them to vote yes. And that's been a big thing now since that's been a big thing. So just to let you know, politics, I'm not against politics. Not all politicians are great, but hopefully you don't hate them all, because then if you hate all politicians, then you hate me, because I was a politician for 9 years, just to let you know. So just some things that I did. I was on the school board. So that was what I did. Okay. So everything is free. The book is free. If you click right here, then this is the textbook. And if you go to some random chapter, like normal distribution, I'm just making one up. And I don't know, he's using the normal distribution. Here's the book. It's all free. These are just links. Okay. And you can read it. And then I have put my videos throughout the book. So you can click on any of these. This is a video on probability and the normal distribution. I'm not gonna, go through the whole video, but I've made sure the videos are incorporated in the book. I've also put in interactive activities, calculators in the book. Okay. And all kinds of stuff. Okay. Now I didn't write the book. What I did is I took the book that Alowski and Dean wrote and I added activities and videos into it. Does that make sense? So it's all in there. So that's the textbook. I also have a chat bot that answers questions about the book instead of about the syllabus. And I'll let you look at that if you want. And it'll answer statistics questions that use kind of books, the book's way of thinking, instead of just general. Any questions so far? Okay. The course description and the student learning outcomes, I'll let you read through those. But I will tell you, this is a main thing. This is why I love teaching this class so much. This is the most useful math class we have for sure. Okay, I have used statistics so many different ways. Okay, and you read the news, you'll find statistics everywhere in articles and research in any field that you might be studying in, it's not just some prereq because they want to make you do math that you'll never use. It is really useful. Okay, and not just in education, by the way. Okay, uh, I've actually made lots and lots of money. Anyone know how I might have made a lot of money with statistics? And I mean, I teach and I make money in my salary, but I don't talk about that. Any guess on how I made money? Not quite billions. Yeah, stock market. Okay. And we'll talk about that too. How can you make money in the stock market looking at using statistics? Okay. And it does help. So there's lots and lots of good opportunities for statistics. Okay. And also understanding what you can trust and what you shouldn't trust, because that's important too when you read about something that's been done. And we'll be talking about that. That's the main thing. There's going to be lots of different topics, of course. Okay. Grading policy. I try to make it really easy. So 90, 80, 70, 60. Standard is easiest. That way you know what's up. So that's the grading policy. And then in terms of what you'll be graded on, there's going to be chapter assignments. Okay. And again, there are 13 chapters. So there are 13 assignments. And each one, I'll show you what they look like in a little bit. There's going to be discussion posts. Put in the chat box, say yes if you've taken an online class, and say no if you've never had an online class before. Just want to see where you're all come. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of yeses. Okay. My guess is that your online class, even though it wasn't me, made you do discussion post assignments too. That's pretty standard. I was a statewide reviewer of courses, by the way, of online courses. And so I've looked at many courses, and pretty much all of them use discussion post assignments. And I do too, and I'll show you what they look like. Now here's something that's different than what you're used to in a math class. And I've done this for lots of different reasons. There isn't going to be like a final and a midterm. Okay, that's what you're probably used to with most of your classes. Instead, what I do is every other week, every even week of the class, there is going to be a exam that's worth 10% of the grade. There's 12 weeks in the class, and that means there are 6 even weeks, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So 60% of the grade will be the exams, 10% each. But there isn't any like one major super high pressure exam. Instead, you just got to keep up with it throughout the entire class. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? Okay. By the way, this is week 1. Is there an exam this week? I'm hoping you all know this very basic math. 1 is an odd number. Hope you all
No.
know that. So no exam because we're in week 1, and 1 is an odd number. So exams are about 20 questions, is that right? Somewhere around that, but it's complicated. Some of the questions might have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. Some of the questions is going to be a true false question. So even that, and I'll talk about that as we go, even that is a little complicated in terms of what, how long is the exam? It really depends, but you're going to have 90 minutes. Okay, there will be 2 projects, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Okay, one is due February 8th, and one is due March 22nd. Okay, and notice I try to split up how much everything's worth. Okay, 10% of everything is 10%, basically. Okay, so we'll get to the projects in a bit in terms of what they're about. Okay, so a little bit about exam policies. Okay, you're going to take the exams online. Okay, I do want to mention this is an online class. Okay, and as I mentioned, if you don't have internet access, you're screwed. You can't do this class without online. Also, it means that you never, ever have to come to Tahoe, Lake Tahoe Community College. Okay. In fact, if you were bedridden, couldn't leave, and you were in Oregon or something, you could still take this class as long as you have a computer in your bed. And I'll let you know about half of the grading, maybe 2/3 of the grading that I do is in bed. I sit there with my laptop and I grade. It's just comfortable that way. So even I'm into that. So you never have to be in person. Okay, that's not required. But you do have to know how to be online. have to communicate, you have to know how to communicate with me and with each other online. So this is a fully online class. Is that clear? Okay, so that's really important, including the exams are going to be online. Um, there are written questions, okay, or maybe I say typed, but there are typed questions and there are also non-typed questions where it's just you put a number or you click A, B, C, D, whatever the right answer might be. The ones that are the simple ones, those are all computer graded. The ones that are written questions, those I grade personally. Okay. And I'll provide feedback too. So for the exams, there's like a couple, usually one or two, usually like a couple written questions on the regular exam, but they're weighted a little heavier than all the rest of the questions. And each of those couple, by the way, there's often an A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, that could happen. There can be many parts in those couples, if that makes sense. Okay. You're going to have 90 minutes, and that is strict. You're going to have 90 minutes for each exam. So you're going to start, and then the timer is going to set. 90 minutes later, it turns off. So make sure you make that work. Does that make sense? Just also let you know, because this can stress you out, when you're finished with the exam, it's going to show the grade and it's going to mark a 0 on the ones that were written. And it's going to make your grade look much worse than it really is. And then usually within 2 days after it's due, I'll have it graded. And then you'll have the score for the written parts into your grade and it'll boost your grade. Does that make sense? So don't stress out if you get zeros at the very beginning on the written parts. That means that I haven't looked at it yet. Okay, I'm not a procrastinator, but there are 30 people in the class, so it does take me time. And also Mondays I teach a lot. So it might be Tuesday that I grade. Okay. So that's in terms of the how the policy works. Okay, so just some things to think about. Um, so again, that's what's going to happen. So I'm here to help you out. I do want to let you know that we have an embedded tutor, and that is a special tutor that is going to be like involved in the class and can help you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce, and I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's Peter. And you're online. Can you talk and introduce yourself and talk about what you can do for the everybody?
Absolutely. Good evening, Professor Green. Good evening, everybody else. How are you, fellow students? My name is Peter. I'm here working at the library at LTCC, but you can always reach me throughout the Cranium Cafe. It's the same way you schedule meeting with your counselors or somebody else that you need from the staff. The same way you can find me right there. I can definitely assist you with handling all the major chapters or any obstacles you might face in the coursework. I'll help you figure out the TI-84 if you need help with this.
We're not
Go
doing
along with
T84,
your.
by the way. You'll see.
Oh, okay, that's right. We have a spreadsheet.
It's
That's right.
much easier, actually. It's
Yes.
much easier than
So
T84.
it will be a little easier for you, but please, I'm familiar with that as well. Seen that a couple times. There will be a couple projects for you that I'm more than willing to assist. Homework, whatever you need, guys, I got you. So please reach out.
Great, great. And again, please don't just give up because you don't know how to do something. Reach out. Okay.
Absolutely.
Reach out to Peter, reach out to me, and we can help you. We're here to help. I want you all to do well. That's my hope. Okay. And I'm sure, Peter, you feel the same way. Okay.
Absolutely, I do.
I want you all to do well. But I can't help you if you don't ask for help. Does that make sense? So yeah, we're here for you. Okay. And there's lots of help for you. Okay. So that is important. There's a big deal with the exam and with exam and assignment policy, and this is important. Pay attention to this because a lot of people don't read this or listen. Due date extensions will only be given if they're requested by the Friday before they are due. Okay, so even though it says they're due Sunday, you want to try to do everything by Friday. And then if you realize you have, you're not going to make it by Sunday because you tried everything by Friday and you still have a lot to do. If you reach out and you send me an email and say, can I get an extension on the exam? okay, or the assignment, regular assignments, I'll give you the extension, usually a couple days. If you ask Sunday, it's too late, I'll say no. Just let you know that. So if you need extensions, you have to ask ahead of time. Okay, it's one way I try to get you to not procrastinate. Okay, that way by Friday, if you haven't procrastinated, you're almost done, or you know you're going to need extra time because you're not going to have the time. But you have to ask by Friday. You can ask Thursday if you want to, but don't ask Saturday or Sunday. It's too late. Okay, so assignments. Assignments are done on the Canvas site by the due date. Okay, and what I recommend is keep a journal of the written responses to the assignment questions. Make sure you can do that, get used to writing things. That helps because that way you'll be able to do the exams that have written questions. Okay. And also the projects. Assignments are due close to midnight on Sundays. But remember, if you ask questions at 10:30 p.m. on a Sunday, send me an email or put something in the box in the discussion board and expect me to answer. I won't because I'll be asleep. Okay, I'm never awake that late. So if you wait till the end, you're not going to get help from me because I'm asleep. Just let you know that. Okay. But on the other hand, if you ask and in the morning, I'm almost always awake. Okay. Sometimes I'm busy teaching, but I'll eventually get back to you. So that is important. Okay. Same for the assignment, same thing is if you need an extension, you have to ask by Friday before they're due. Okay. For the regular assignments, there's no time limit. Okay. But I guess the time limit is Sunday night. But the point is, if you do it, Wednesday, you spend 12 hours working on it if you felt like it. Okay. It probably won't take that long, but you can. The assignments are immediately graded by the computer. So they're all computer graded. And I'm a computer programmer. I created all of this. So I had a team. There were three of us, great people. And we created this together as a group. And we made this happen. And they're now used by like 1 million people, not just you, by the way. So this has been a big thing. It's all free. So it's all open and free. Okay. And they're randomized, by the way. So if you do a question, and the exams are randomized too, by the way. So if you work on a question and you talk to one of your classmates, for example, they're going to be working on a different question because it's randomized. Sometimes different wording, sometimes different numbers. It's all randomized. Okay. And I'll show you what they look like in a bit. Okay. All right. Discussions, on the other hand, you're going to have discussion posts. And this week, you're going to have 2 to do. The rest of the weeks, you're going to have 1 to do. Okay. Except week 12, you don't have 1 to do. But all the rest of them, you're going to have 1 discussion post. But one of them is just a fun one. And the other one is, you have to do some work. So, so you're going to have discussion posts. The discussion posts, except for this week, are due on Thursday. Okay. This week's different. Why is this week different? Your initial discussion post will not be due Thursday. And I don't see anyone coming in. That's because our first day of class is today. I didn't feel comfortable saying, you got to have it done by Thursday when I'm going to be giving the webinar on it on Thursday. So instead, I'm having that one due on Friday, but then the final is still going to be due on it by Sunday. Okay. But every other week it's due by Thursday. Okay. All of the rest of them. Just let you know that. I think I had the first discussion due tomorrow because that one's easy. There's no math in it. You'll see. Okay. And again, you're going to be replying to your classmates. And the way the discussion works, except for the very first one, just the fun one, you can reply to everybody. But after that, you just reply to one classmate. Okay. Just one classmate. And you have to reply to one, by the way. Okay. And I have a rubric. I'll let you read through this. Okay. I'm in the live webinar. Some of you are not watching it live because you can't. You're watching on YouTube. But every week, we're going to have a webinar. Okay. At least weeks 1 through 11. Week 12 is a whole different thing because some of you finish at the very beginning of the week and then there's no reason to have a webinar. So I have webinars week 1 through week 12. And it's either going to be Monday or Tuesday in the evening. typically at 6, but I had to sub for someone today, so I made it 6:15 so I could get ready for this because I was teaching until 6. So sorry about that. But all the rest of them will be 6 o'clock. I used to have it at lunchtime sometimes, but I had very low attendance. So now I've been going to evenings and I get better attendance in the evenings. So I figure more people can make evenings than they can make daytimes. Okay, so just to let you know. And you have to either attend live and listen, or you have to watch on YouTube and listen, and you should do that by Sunday. Okay. And there's going to be a secret word quiz. I'll show you what they look like. It's really easy. Um, and that's going to be required. And if you miss if you miss the webinar or don't get the secret word done by the Sunday, then the only other option is to watch it later, write detailed notes while you're watching and email me. And they have to be handwritten notes. And email me your handwritten notes. So AI, by the way, won't give you handwritten notes today. Handwritten notes, email me a picture of your handwritten notes, and then I'll give you credit. That's kind of how it works. And that has to be done by the end of the course. Okay. By the Wednesday of that. It's what week 12. Okay. And just let you know, the link is always the same. Okay. Then projects. Okay. So there will be 2 projects for this class. Okay. And they're due at different times, but you'll see that, how to find that. They're not due this week, by the way. But the projects are group projects. Okay. And the group projects, just to let you know, and this is important, they are group projects and the communication can be done all online. Okay. So again, this is an online class, so I expect you to be able to communicate online. And that's however you want to communicate online. It could be via email, it could be via, your phone, it could be via Canvas, however you want, to do online communication, you can do that. Okay. There is going to be just a note, a couple things. You're going to have to find partners. Okay. Strong recommendation of getting 3 people in your group. You can't have more, but 3 is best. You can either have 3 or 2, but if you have 3, then there's less work for you to do because you only have to write 1/3 of the project if there's 3 of you. If there's 2 of you, you have to write half the project. Does that make sense? But the other big thing is that there's 2 of you and your partner drops, you're screwed. If there's 3 of you and one of your partners drops, you still have another person. Does that make sense? So it's really important. I strongly recommend 3. So, that's a big deal. And I'll let you read through all the details of this, but there is a 30% penalty if you can't work with another student. Okay. That is important. Okay. Another biggie is I'm happy to help you with it. Okay. And I'll answer any questions you have about the project. The other thing is the project's due on a Thursday, on a Sunday. Just about everything is officially due on Sundays. But if you send me by 8 a.m. on Thursday before it's due, your draft, then I'll read it and give you lots of feedback. And I recommend not waiting till the very last moment, like 7:59 on Thursday. I recommend doing it like on Monday or Tuesday of that week. And that way I have time to read it. And what I do is I read it on a first come, first read basis. So if 5 people in a row send it right away, then whoever sends it first, I read that one first and give feedback, and then the next one. And these projects are pretty long. They take me a while to read and give feedback. So if there's a whole lot at the very last moment, you may have a long wait before you can get my feedback because I'm human and it takes me time to read and to give feedback. So just let you know that. So earlier is better. Okay, not 3 weeks before, but at least like Monday or something like that before Tuesday. That's what I recommend. Okay. And that feedback makes a huge difference. What I've noticed is that those people who send me their rough draft and I give feedback, their grade tends to be a lot better than those that don't. And not because I give a better grade because you did, but because the feedback tells you how to improve your grade. So I'll say, hey, you need to change this and this and this and that and the other thing. I'll have like maybe 10 comments on things you need to change. And if you hadn't sent me your draft, Then instead of giving you comments on things that you need to change, give you comments and say, and you lose points for this, and you lose points for this, and you're gonna lose a lot of points because that's what you gave me. Whereas if you send me the draft and then you fix all the things that tell you to fix, then guess what? You're not going to have that many things go wrong anymore. Does that make sense? So that's a huge deal for the projects. Okay, let me tell you my strongest suggestion on finding partners. Because again, some of you are in the middle of nowhere, somewhere very far from Tahoe or whatever. You don't know anybody in the class. So here's what you want to do. If you click on discussions, I have a project one discussion forum. Okay. I can't click on it, and that's for privacy reasons. I don't like to, show people's things because if I click on it, you'll see that someone actually has posted. But you're going to click on that, and then you're going to reply, and you're going to either type in, I'm looking for project partners. Please reply. And then maybe two people reply, and now you got a group of three. Or you'll find someone else that said, I'm looking for project partners. And you're going to reply to them and say, hey, can I be your partner? And now, hey, guess what? Now you have a partner. And maybe someone else will reply. Now you have three people. Does that make sense? That's the easiest way to get partners. Don't wait until next week because maybe no one's left to get partners from. So do it. I would do it today. Okay. If not today, tomorrow. I mean, soon. Don't wait. Okay. Please don't wait on finding partners. Okay. Because that's something that doesn't take any knowledge of statistics, is finding partners. That's just typing in the discussion board. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? And I can't click on it because if I do, then you're going to see a person's name in there. And I can't show that on because it goes on YouTube and I can't show you personal information. Any questions on that? Okay. So let me go back. By the way, when you click home or when you first go on, it sends you to the syllabus. That's going to change after this week. The first week I send you the syllabus because that's what you're going to really want to look at the first week. And then after that, you're going to go to the modules, which have all the assignments and materials. And I'll show you what those look like in a little bit. Okay. Let me get there. And just let you know, I'll show you again for the projects, you're going to use this Google Spreadsheet program. If you click on that, that sends you to a spreadsheet program. Again, I mentioned I'm a coder. I coded this. And then it's actually really easy to use. You just type in your data and it gives you most of what you want. Isn't that nice? Okay, so there's the Google Spreadsheet program. Okay, this is not going to be the calculator you do everything else for, and you'll see why a little later. But this is the calculator you can use for the projects. And when I talk about the project one next week, I'll explain more detail, but we don't have the materials yet to talk about that. Okay, tomorrow we'll go over a lot of that. Okay, so let me get back. Okay, there is a Q&A forum. Okay, if I go to discussions again, I think no one's posted yet. So if I click on that, then this is a Q&A forum. So if you have questions that are not private information questions, so it might be, I really don't understand the standard deviation, can you explain, or how do you do this kind of question? Those are the questions that's not personal. That's more of statistics. So if they're questions about statistics, then use the Q&A forum and you just hit reply and you type in your question. Does that make sense? I'm going to hit cancel because I don't have a question. But so if you email me something and it's just a question about how to do some statistics thing, I'm going to email back saying, hey, post on the Q&A forum. If you have a question about the project, then you post on the project discussion forum, the project one discussion forum. Any questions on that? Okay, let's continue on. A little about diversity and inclusion, just very, very important that give everybody respect. Okay, no matter what their race, no matter what their gender is, no matter what their age or background, respect each other. That's the main thing. If you want to give me anonymous feedback, I have a little anonymous feedback link, and you can do that. You can also send me an email. It won't be anonymous, but I would never grade you down for giving feedback, but I have that in case you need it. Little netiquette guidelines that just tells you how to be nice to each other. If you need to drop the class, that's your responsibility. January 16th is the last day to drop without any record, and February 20th is the last day to get a W. Just some note. Title IX information, I'll let you click on that. My student hours. Again, I'm always in my office and online. Sometimes it takes me a few minutes, so I could be 5 minutes late because I'm in class teaching. But other than that, especially Fridays, um, actually Monday, Wednesday too. So I could be a little bit late on that, but not too late. I'll be on Zoom, this Zoom, same link, and that'll get you there. And it's Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, and Friday. Okay, so 4 days a week I'm online to help, but I can help you other times if you ask. Okay. Again, please ask questions if you want. One of the big points of this webinar is that it's a great time to ask questions and get immediate help and immediate answers. Whereas when you're working outside the webinar, you can email me. It could take hours before I get back to you because maybe I'm asleep or maybe I'm teaching or something. Okay. Or having fun with friends because I do have friends. So, just know. Okay, the calculator, as I mentioned, I really didn't want anyone to drop this class because of money. So, and I'm also a coder. So I created a calculator this is for more of the assignments and the exams to use. And this is a calculator, I think it's used by like over 1 million people now. It's used a lot. And what I've done is I've ordered the calculator components in the order at which we do things in this class. Okay, it's much, much easier to use than any other calculator. Okay, so please use this calculator for the class. The only thing you can is for the projects, and I'll explain that when we get into the projects why. There's a reason why you have to use a project calculator. But for everything else, you're going to want to use this one. And this is, it does things. Okay, you're not going to understand most of this right now because we're not there yet. Some of it's very simple. Like the very first one's very simple. Okay. Simple random number generator. Enter the lower bound and upper bound for random number. Click random button and get the random number. So pick a number between what and what? What do you want to see? A random number between what and what? Give me two numbers. A low and a high. Okay, 10 for the low. And what do you want the high to be? 45. And you hit get random, and there we go. 32 is a randomly generated number. You can get another one, another one, another one. So that was a simple one for me to code. That was like one of the easiest. Okay, gives you a random number. Okay, and statistics has a lot of random stuff. Okay, I'll show you a lot of the others too as we go through each week. And, we're not doing content today. We're just doing, how to find things, what the class is about, that kind of stuff. Okay, just a note, if you have a learning disability, let me know. And accommodations, if you need accommodations, contact Student Accessibility Services. And there's a link to them. And you can do their email too. And there's also a telephone. And they will make sure and they'll let me know of any accommodations you need. And that could be extra time on a test. It could be anything else. I do want to let you know that all of my regular videos are all closed captioned. The webinars are a little harder because that's like immediate, but YouTube does a pretty good job nowadays. It's not perfect, but everything else is closed captioned. If you happen to have it closed captioned, let me know and I can do it. It'll take me hours, but I can make it happen for you. Okay. As we mentioned, there's tutoring available, all free. Okay. And Peter is our embedded tutor. We have other tutors too, but our embedded tutor is the one that's actually comes to and watches this class and knows exactly what we're doing, knows what's due and all that kind of stuff. Does that make sense? Okay. And there's something called Cranium Cafe, and that link will send you to how to get to the tutors. Any questions? Any questions? Okay. Um, then I have links to all the different resources you have, library and learning and getting help with Canvas. This is really important, a little word on honesty, and let me give you the one that a lot of people don't listen to, and I zap you on it. Okay, the use of AI generated content in any of your assignments, including projects, writing tasks, and discussion boards, is strictly prohibited for this class. Okay, AI should be used for learning and not for doing your assignments. Okay, I will let you know I'm an AI expert. Okay, I know how to create AI. I'm actually, turns out in calculus this year, I am the national pilot for AI in calculus. Okay, so I will know if you're using AI. Do not use AI to just answer questions, okay, or to write your discussion posts or to write your projects or parts of projects. I will know, and boy, your grade will be bad. Okay, you can use AI for learning, but not for doing. Does that make sense? Because the whole point of this class is to learn, not to just get things done. So that is important. Any questions on that? Okay. And I've actually put special things in that will detect AI. So, and I will know. The computer will let me know if you're using AI because I've got background code to detect it. Okay. So again, I'll know. So don't just use AI to do your work. Okay. It'll keep you from learning and will also make sure I'll give you bad grades. Okay. I won't even say I'm doing it because it's bad. I'm giving you this bad grade because AI. I'm just going to give you like one little tiny thing. I'm going to zap you on points. So, and I'll know. So don't do that. Okay. Any questions about the syllabus? Okay. Let me go to the modules. Okay. By the way, we're 1 hour in now, and typical webinars go about an hour and a half. Um, this webinar typically goes about an hour and 15 minutes or so, a little less. Okay, it won't be exactly an hour and a half for typical webinars, but plus or minus 5 minutes. Um, and this one we're almost done. Okay. Actually, I think for this one, I usually don't like to put it at the very end. Let's do it now. You ready for the secret word? Okay, get your pencil out right now. Hope you're all getting your pencil out because I'm about to say the secret word. Okay, the secret word for this webinar is time. So the secret word is time. I actually put it in the chat box also. Okay, but of course you can't see that if you are watching this on YouTube, but you can hear the word time, Time. And that is the secret word for the webinar. And let me show you what to do at this point. Once you know the secret word, by Sunday, but you might as well do it tonight, then if we go to week 1 and you'll see assignments, then you'll see orientation secret word quiz. Now, yours is going to look different than mine because I'm the instructor. So ignore what you're seeing right now because that's not what you're going to see. Um, and in fact, let's do yeah, because this looks bad. Let me show you what it's going to look like instead. Let me do this. I'm going to change it and I'm going to view as a student. That way you'll see what it looks like. And if you go to modules, and you go to week 1, and you go to orientation secret word quiz, and this is what you'll see. Then it says begin. This is very simple. Sometimes it takes time to load. And it says the secret word for the orientation was, and I just typed the answer in time. And I hit submit. Okay. Any questions on that? Was that easy? But if you don't know the secret word, you have no chance. You're not just going to guess that word. And I try to make it relevant to what we're doing that week, but not something you're going to guess. Yours says no preview available. I think did you try just clicking the secret word quiz? Because I have it as student view, so this is what you should be looking at. Let me hit the back button. No preview available. I'm not sure. You might need to reload your computer. I'm not exactly sure what's wrong. I don't know if anyone else get it right, but it should work. Because I'm in student mode. I'm in the mode that makes it look like a student. Let me just hit return. Let me go to modules. Yeah, so it might be your computer. I don't know. That one's a hard one for me. Okay, just want to let you know in the modules, sometimes it's blank like this, but if you click this, you'll see course information. This has all the stuff I talked about. You may have to restart your computer. That I can't tell you what's wrong because I'm just using Canvas. There's nothing special about that one. Week 1 secret word is not, you're not ready for that one yet because that's tomorrow. I haven't told you that one yet. Yeah, so this is the orientation secret word quiz. Week 1 orientation secret word, not the week 1 secret word from chapter 1 and 2. Does that make sense? So you're not ready for that one yet because I haven't given that one out yet. Okay. So anyhow, this has a lot of information in case you need it, but some of the stuff I was showing you about. So in week 1, you'll see that there's all kinds of stuff to do. And there's content. So I have content. It's got videos. It's got PowerPoints of the videos, student learning outcomes, all kinds of different things. And it shows the assignments also. And I showed you what the discussion assignments look like. Turns out I can't go to the discussion assignment because someone's already posted it and that would show that person. I can't hide that person. I can show you what the two truths, one untruth looks like because what I did when I saw that is I made another tab. Can you all see the tab I just popped up with my name on it? I think you should be able to see that. So what I do is I give a sample. And so here's my 3 truths in quotes because 2 of them are truth and one's not. See if you can guess which one is not truthful. One is I personally disconnected the communication system from the space shuttle while it was in orbit, causing it to stay in orbit an extra day. The second is the US Navy uses my PhD dissertation in statistics to help them track Russian submarines. And third is I came up with and coded the first online shopping cart. 2 of those are true, and 1 is not true. And what you can do is you can hit reply. And then once you've hit reply, you can reply and guess. Oops, sorry. Any questions on that? Okay, so that's what that looks like. Let me show you what the assignments look like. Let me show you what the chapter 2's assignment looks like, for example. So I'm going to hit start. And you'll notice for chapter 2, there's 11 questions, and you should do them all. Let me just randomly grab one. So here's one, question 6. The list below shows the ages and years of 11 people riding in a van to a math competition. Calculate the mean age of the people in the van. Round your answer to the nearest tenth of a year. Here's the ages. You have to calculate the mean and the median and find that out. There's also a little hint. But what you can do, and what you want to do in this case, is I'm going to do the following. I'm going to copy these numbers. Tomorrow I'll show you how to do these guys and go back to the calculator menu. I'm going to go to one variable statistics calculator. I'm going to paste. I need to put commas in between. Okay. And notice this was mean age of people in the van. So this is actually a population. So oh, I'm going to go population and calculate. There's the mean, 16.09090909. And then the median was 14. Okay. So again, do you agree that calculator is pretty easy? Okay, 16.909099. So again, round it to the nearest tenth. So 16.9. And the median was 14. Let's suppose I get it wrong. Let's suppose I say 13 instead. And if I submit question, I got it wrong. Okay. All right. But here's the thing. You can get another try at it, and you can get an unlimited number of tries and get another question. Okay. This won't be exactly the same. It'll be something, that does this. And we get another one. Okay. And this allows you to keep trying. If you randomly guess, you'll probably get it wrong every time. So make sure you learn. And if you can't figure it out, then get help. That's where you go to the tutor. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay. And then you do all the problems. Okay. So that's what that looks like. If I go back to the modules, then you'll notice that there's, two secret word quizzes. Okay. Again, this week's a little different. We have two webinars because one orientation, one is content. And then we have two chapters, and then we have two discussions. So there's more this week, but easier stuff, just more pieces. Does that make sense? And this will show you all the assignments too. Any questions at all on what you're going to have to do each time? Also, I'm going to be sending out announcements like 3 times a week or so to remind you when something's due. Okay. Or if there's anything upcoming. Pay attention to the announcements. Those get sent to your Lake Tahoe Community College email. So make sure you look at your email. I think in Canvas, you can also change it to get sent to text you. You can also take your Lake Tahoe Community College email and get it forwarded to some other email. Make sure that you look at it. Okay, don't ignore my messages because that'll remind you of all the things you have to do in the class. Any questions on that? Okay, that's pretty much everything I need to say about the class. You'll notice there's lots of weeks. So what I'm going to do is a couple things. I'll leave the student view. And then I am going to stop the recording and we'll call it a done webinar. But after the recording, then you can always ask questions and then it's not recorded anymore. So it's not even like worried about being on YouTube. But let me stop the recording. Thank you for listening.